Hi everyone and welcome back to the Clever Report. It's yours truly, Peter Clever. We're still talking about the WNBA. Ever since Sophie Cunningham made that statement, that very, very sensible statement of we need to protect girls, we need to protect women, we need to protect young girls in their own sports, that biological men that think that they are women now should not be allowed to play the women's game. This should be like a common sense take. I was even saying that Sophie Cunningham shouldn't even be popular because of this thing, because this is just like a low hanging fruit. It shouldn't be like a controversial thing to say that men, biological men that are mentally ill, because that is how I see them, mentally ill men that should be treated of, gotten help, and they are being indulged. The society or the system is rewarding them for just being sick, basically. So now, with everything that is happening, the Indiana Fever coach is a very, very spineless coach, Stephanie White. At first, when Sophie Cunningham made that statement, there's a clip of Stephanie White actually coming out to say that she doesn't really know, she's not educated, enough to know or ascertain the biological differences between men and women. She's not educated enough to say if biological men shouldn't play in the men's game. This is just like basically saying I'm not educated enough to say the sky is blue, because they're just not telling us not to believe our own eyes at this point. It is crazy.
What's your stance? What is your stance on men or athletes who test as biological male participating in women's sports? What's your personal stance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint. I don't ever believe that exclusion is an answer. I just don't. I do think, when we think about various levels of sport, various governing bodies of sport and things that go into that. Like I said, I'm not educated enough at the different levels. I know growing up, I played with the boys all the time.
So
there
you
weren't
would
girl sports.
Would you
back
welcome
then.
a biological male in WNBA?
Again, it's like I don't know. When we talk about biological male and scientifically where we are, I think it's a totally different scenario. As I said, I'm not educated enough in terms of transgender and transitioning to give you a smart answer. I would say though that I just don't feel like exclusion is an answer, and I think that we need to have deeper, more layered conversations.
And you'd be okay with them in the locker room?
I gotta go to Andy, guys.
Yeah. Is there any frustration, because you guys are in a really fantastic run, that this is distracting from that?
There is a frustration, of course, because we want to talk about basketball, and we want to continue to work on our game, and we want to continue to grow as a team. But I also understand, like, this is part of our growth edge as a league, right? It's part of our growth edge as a league, and we have to be able to manage. We have to be able to insulate as much as we can, and then we have to be able to lead with conversation.
Now, at first, with everything that is happening, sometimes I just think that she's just afraid of the woke mob. But basically, you're saying that you're asking us not to believe our eyes, because there's a reason whereby the men and the women's game were differentiated. Because if the men actually play the women's game, they are going to hurt these women, because the physical attributes, the game, the pace, and everything, it is not the same. It is not a dig on women. And the whole WNBA as an enterprise is just hemorrhaging money. For since their existence, they've not made any money. They've not made any money. The NBA subsidizes them every year. But still, you in this WNBA is where you get all the stupid woke ideas that are wrecking sports in the United States or around the world. It starts from this WNBA, because they don't even know the basic fact of the biological differences between men and women. So now, with all these things happening, a former NBA player, Enes Kanter rather, actually made a video, declaring himself eligible for rookie selection in the WNBA. So the video has been making rounds on social media, and basically, I think that everybody knows that, like, he's just making fun of these people. But I love the fact that he's doubling down on the video, because the fact that these people actually say that anybody that identifies as a woman has basically become a woman. That means Enes Kanter is like eligible to be picked. He's very, very eligible. So the video is very, very funny, and these liberals are losing their minds. It is crazy. If this guy was another like average trans person that just came out and said, I'm now a woman, I want to participate in women's sports, they won't bat an eye. But because they know her and they know deep down, what is making them angry is that they know deep down that the whole idea or the ideology that they are supporting is crazy. So the video is for that. It's just a 1 minute clip, and then I'll give you my take on the issue.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
I wholeheartedly support this guy. I love what he's doing because he's using a functional equivalent. He's turning these people's heads against themselves. Because if your take about being a woman, and it's crazy, the only crazy thing is that the evil white men or the patriarchy that these people actually condemn every day are still the same ones speaking against this stupidity. These people just want to self-destruct by all means. The WNBA doesn't make money. It's a very, very woke league that we just use to appease the women so that they'll feel that people actually care about the sports. But most people don't care about the sports. Yes, in recent years, the Caitlin Clark and the Sophie Cunningham, their personality and their ability to play, and for the fact that they are very likable, is attracting people back to the sports. But in general, most people don't really care about the sports or the women's basketball. Even women don't even care about it. This same WNBA was the one of the owners of the Seattle, the co-owners, actually harassed young girls the other time, like 2 weeks ago. Harassed young girls for actually standing up for common sense. Isn't it crazy? Now, the news that made round on social media is DiJonai Carrington, where she, fouled Sophie Cunningham. And ever since, this league is dominated by black lesbian women. And these people are just envious of Sophie Cunningham because she's getting all the attention with Caitlin Clark, apart from their ability to play or their shared sportswomanship. These people are relatable. They are nice. People love them. People gravitate towards them. So there's a clip of DiJonai Carrington, fouling Sophie Cunningham in a very, very hard and deliberate way. I want us to watch the clip now, and then I'll give you my take on the issue.
Face coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just face coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant too, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant too. There is wind up, there is follow through, there's potential for injury.
Without
Sophie
question.
Cunningham in a vulnerable position in the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question why.
One of the most annoying things is that immediately this thing happened and she was suspended, she went to the locker room to tweet white privilege. It is very, very crazy the kind of world we live in, that you commit this heinous foul against your fellow teammates, whereby everybody that has common sense knows that this foul was deliberate. He actually wanted to hurt her. And you went into the locker room to tweet white privilege. Was white privilege the reason whereby you actually fouled her in such a violent way? Was white privilege the reason why you did that? No. But you want to always cry the victim. And I don't even want to talk about the wig she's wearing, when black people talk about cultural appropriation, but this person actually is wearing the long white women's wig, trying to appear like Sophie Cunningham, but I digress. That's not what I want to say. But one of the most annoying things about that clip you just watched is that the coach, the Indiana Fever coach, is a spineless woman. That you can see that Caitlin Clark beside her, she couldn't even defend her players. I'm even imagining how Sophie Cunningham is feeling right now. She went ahead to double down and defend the person that violently fouled Sophie Cunningham so that she wouldn't be attacked by the woke mob. These are the issues. This is the person that is in charge of a basketball team in the WNBA. At first, she actually said that she's not educated enough to ascertain if men shouldn't play in women's game. And now, She's now, supporting the person that violently fouled her players. This is crazy. And in light of everything that is happening, the WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbart actually made a statement saying that they are going to meet next week to ascertain the requirements of being a woman, or the requirements of the women that are actually going to participate in the WNBA. In light of all these, many former NBA players are actually coming out and declaring themselves eligible if the definition of a woman is not a biological, female with excess chromosomes. If it now means that anybody that identifies as a woman or put on a wig, then these people are eligible to play, and people are loving it. But the fact that this WNBA commissioner actually has to call a commission, actually has to call a meeting or an emergency meeting to reevaluate and check if their definition of womanhood is actually on par with reality, shows you how we are, or shows you where we are as a civilization. Because I think they have it so good in the United States that the core tenets of their argument right now is to check if biological men can play in women's sports. And that is crazy. That's all I'm going to say about that. As this story is developing, I'll keep updating you people. Like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. Until next time, peace.